Hello, and welcome to Lesson 6.1b, Solving One-Step Inequalities. Our objective for today is that I can solve inequalities using addition or subtraction. Our key concept is the addition property of inequality, which states that if the same number is added to each side of a true inequality, the resulting inequality is also true. So let's just dive right in and start doing the work. We're going to add 10 to both sides, because that's the opposite of subtracting 10. And we get x is going to be less than 25. So we start off with points at negative 25, 0, and positive 25. And it is less than, so it is an open dot at 25, and we're shading to the left because it's less than. Letter B. Negative 9 plus b is less than or equal to 16, while the opposite of minus 9 is plus 9. So we have b is less than or equal to 25. So again, we put our points, negative 25, 0, 25, and it is less than or equal to, so it's a closed dot, and we are going to shade to the left. Letter C. Opposite operation for negative 5 would be plus 5 to both sides. N is greater than 2. So we have our points, negative 2, 0, positive 2. And it's greater than, so it's an open dot, and we are going to be shading to the right because of that. Letter D, m minus 11 is greater than or equal to negative 2. We're going to add 11 to both sides. M is greater than or equal to 9. So we have points at negative 9, 0, positive 9. It is a closed dot at 9. And we are shading to the right since m is greater than 9. Now, we've got four you-try problems on this page. I'd like you to do those on your own and then check your work against mine. Letter E. We are going to start by adding 7 to both sides. X is greater than 3. So we have negative 3, we have 0, and we have positive 3. So it's greater than, so we're shading to the right. Letter F. We're going to add 3 to both sides because that's the opposite operation of subtracting 3. And 5 plus 3 is 8. So we have points at negative 8, 0, positive 8. It is going to be a closed dot because it is less than or equal to, and we are going to be shading to the left because it's less than or equal to. All right, letter G. We start off, we have negative 6 plus y, so the opposite of a minus 6 is plus 6. We're going to get y is greater than or equal to 0. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So we have points at negative 6. We'll put a point at 0. We'll put a point at positive 6. Our dot is a closed dot at 0 because it's greater than or equal to. And we're going to shade to the right because of the greater than portion of that. Now, letter H. We have negative 8 plus z is less than 2, so we add 8 to both sides. We get z is less than 10, so we have points at negative 10, 0, and positive 10. It's an open dot at 10, and we are shading to the left because it's less than. All right, we're going to go to the next page where we are going to tackle the subtraction property of inequality. The key concept is exactly the same. If the same value is subtracted from each side of a true inequality, the resulting inequality is also going to be true. All right, so let's look at letter A. x plus 24 is greater than or equal to 61. So we're going to subtract 24 from both sides. And we're going to get x is greater than or equal to 37. So I put my points on the line. It is going to be a closed dot at positive 37, and we are going to be shading to the right because it's greater than or equal to. Letter B, we have 88 is less than x plus 13, so we're going to subtract 13 from both sides. And we're going to get 75 is less than x. Negative 75, 0, 75. All right, so it is an open dot, and it is saying that 75 is less than or equal to x. So 75 is less than all of the solutions for this. So that means we're shading to the right. Or if we were to read this from the variable's perspective, and we read it backwards, it would be x is greater than 75. All right, letter C. Y plus 3 is less than or equal to 1. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Y is less than or equal to negative 4. So we have our points, negative 4, 0, 4. It is going to be a closed dot. And it is less than or equal to, so we shade to the left. Letter D. We have 10 is greater than or equal to y plus 12, so we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. We get negative 2 is greater than or equal to y. So we have points at negative 2, 0, and positive 2. And it is a closed dot at 2. And we are going to be shading to the left because y is going to be less than negative 2, or negative 2 is going to be the greatest value in this one. All right. So that brings us to our 4 U-try problems for this section. Go ahead, try them on your own, and then check your work against mine. All right, letter E. First, we're going to start by subtracting 6 from both sides. X is greater than 8. So you have points at negative 8, 0, and positive 8. And if x is greater than, it's an open dot, and greater than means we shade to the right. Letter F. We're going to subtract 14 from both sides. And we're going to get x is greater than or equal to 9 minus 14 is negative 5. So we have points at negative 5, 0, and positive 5. So it'll be a closed dot at negative 5, and it's greater than or equal to, so we're shading to the right. All right. So y plus 6 is greater than or equal to 9. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Y is going to be greater than or equal to 3. So we have points at negative 3, 0, and positive 3. So it's going to be a closed dot because it's greater than or equal to. And we're shading to the right because we're greater than. All right, letter H. We've got z plus 8 is less than 2. Subtract 8 from both sides. Z is going to be less than negative 6. So we have points at negative 6, 0, and positive 6. It is an open dot at negative 6. And we are going to be shading to the left since z is less than that value. So now we're going to look at example 5, which is to add or subtract to solve inequalities with variables on both sides. So now we're going to have the variable appearing on the left side and the right side of the equation. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to move that variable so that we always maintain a positive variable if we can. And we'll see why I want to do this when we do the multiplication and division lesson tomorrow. So if we look at letter A, I have 9y on the left and I have 10y on the right. I'm going to have to subtract one of these values, so I would rather subtract 9y from both sides for multiple reasons. For one, this would bring my variables to the same side of the inequality symbol, and it would leave a constant alone on the left, but it also helps us to keep the variable positive. So 10y minus 9y is just going to be y. So we have 3 is greater than or equal to y. Letter B. We have subtraction. We have 9 minus 5x is greater than negative 4x. I'm going to have to add either 5x or 4x to the inequality in order to isolate the variable. And I'm going to move that minus 5x because that is the one that's going to help me keep the variables positive no matter what. So we've got 9 is greater than x. All right. Example C and D are you try problems. Do those on your own and then come and check your work against mine. All right, letter C. We have negative 3y and we have negative 2y on the right. I'm going to add 3y to both sides. We get 5 is greater than or equal to y. And letter D, I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides, and I get 6 is going to be less than x. All right, now we're going to go to the next page and we're going to do some U-try, or some examples that are word problem based. So, letter A, the hard drive on your computer has a capacity of 120 gigabytes. You have used 95 gigabytes. You want to save some of your home videos to your hard drive. What are the possible sizes of the video collection that you can save? So, things that we need to find. We need to find important information. So we have a capacity of 120 gigabytes. We've used 95 gigabytes, and we want to know what are the possible sizes of the video you can save. So let's start and define a variable. X equals video size, right? So we're going to go ahead and write our inequality. We know that we have 95 gigabytes used already, and we're adding that to our variable x. But our capacity, the word capacity means the highest amount or the max. So our capacity has to be less than 120. So now we can go about and solve this. So we subtract 95 from both sides. We get x is less than 25, less than or equal to 25 gigabytes. So you could fit about 25 gigs of videos on this hard drive. Now, when it comes to videos, 25 gigs is not that much space. You're probably going to need a new hard drive. All right, letter B. A club has a goal to sell at least 25 plants for a fundraiser. The club members sold 8 plants on Wednesday. They sold 9 plants on Thursday, and they want to know what are the possible numbers of plants that they need to sell on Friday to meet their goal. So we're going to define our variable. X equals plants Friday. Okay. And now we need to write our equation, inequality. So they sold 8 plants on Wednesday, plus 9 plants on Thursday, plus X plants on Friday, and we want it to be at least, so greater than or equal to 25. Now let's combine like terms with the 8 and the 9. So that's 17 plus X is going to be greater than or equal to 25. And then we subtract 17 from both sides. You get X is greater than or equal to 8 plants. All right, you try problems. You do those on your own and then come back and check your work against mine. A cyclist takes her bike on the chairlift to the top of the slope. The lift can safely carry 600 pounds. The cyclist weighs 124. The bike weighs 32 pounds. What are the possible additional weights the lift can safely carry? So define our variable. X is extra weight. All right, and now we need to put together our pieces that we know. We know she is 124. We know that the bike is 32. We know we're trying to find the unknown amount, and that all of that has to be less than or equal to 600. So our first step is to combine like terms. 124 and 32 add up to be 156. So 156 plus x has to be less than or equal to 600. So we subtract 156, and we get x has to be less than or equal to 444 pounds. Okay. And the last one, letter D, Hassan. Hassan has a wireless contract that allows him to use at most 5 gigabytes of data. At this point, he's used 3.7 gigs, and you are trying to find how many gigabytes of data can Hassan use without exceeding the maximum. X equals data. So we have 3.7 plus the unknown amount is going to be less than or equal to the 5 gig max. Subtract 3.7 from both sides, and we get x is less than or equal to 1.3 gigabytes of data. So he would need to use less than 1.3 gigs of data in the remainder of the month in order to not incur any extra charges. All right. If you have any questions, please bring them to class tomorrow. Otherwise, have a great day.